Tanyan.
Oh,
Do you want to change your name?
Yeah, I was going to say, you're here to confuse us. I can't even see you.
I don't know how to change it.
There you go. I'd usually have to call to somebody in the house, quickly, come and change it. I don't know how to change my name. Okay, don't worry. We all know that Reb Yaakov is actually Rebbetzin Ruty. So there we go. So please don't get confused, everybody. And it always is wonderful. And we are very excited. And thank you, Rebbetzin David, for being back with us at our Wiser Women. It has taken us a little bit of time, but perseverance. And we get there, right? So good Erev Shabbos to everybody, and welcome to Rebbetzin Roberts of Berlin. It's an honor for us to have you here with us, and welcome to everybody who is with us, including and welcome Mom and David as well. Always, as always, first on our list. And tonight I'm actually going to ask you, Ruty, I have actually the 32nd Yorta for our father, Avram ben Shmuel Kohen. That we should learn in his Zechus. We also want to be learning in the Zechus of Nachum ben Yisrael, who is Metvik's father, who they're still sitting Shiva for. And Lahavdil, we want to be davening Be'ezras Hashem for Refuah Shelema, for Shomeria Bas Yael, who is our dear friend in South Africa. Shanti Martin, who is going to be undergoing next week very intense surgery, and Be'ezras Hashem, with our davening and with our mitzvahs, we should be zocher to have the shaliach be the correct shaliach for her surgery. And we also want to be davening tonight for Henya Bas Bracha Devoralea, a mom who is on support after trying to save her baby. Emir Hashem, that we should all just merit to be greeting Mashiach very soon. And in the meantime, we're very excited. I'm sure many of you have seen the video clip that's going around about the name of Hashem growing in foliage on the walls of Yerushalayim, just in the place where the Makom HaMikdash is. And we just daven that everything that we do should really, that we should, all of us together as a Klal Yisrael, that we will be zocher to continue to really reinforce that Hashem needs to come and join us and take us, and that we'll all be working together with him in a true avodas Hashem. So we're looking for your words of inspiration, Rebbetzin David, and I will hand over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. And hello, Raquel. I can't see anyone else. If anyone else I should be saying hello to, then hello. And I can't.
Am I allowed to just add that they're sisters, so it's okay, and they're very proud, and they should have very proud parents somewhere. And then we've got Michal also, so there we go. Everybody.
Oh, I can't see, but hello. Thank you. Oh well, but hello. Okay. What I want to share with you today is something that has changed my life, thanks to my friend Miriam Mizrahi in Israel. And if it's changed my life, then it's changed my whole house's life. And it's based on It's All in Your Mind by Sarah Yosef, Rabbi Vadia's daughter-in-law. Okay, what power have we got in this world? Sorry, is my lighting really bad?
It could be a tiny bit lighter if you have, but otherwise we can see you. But if you have a bit more light,
this is not my room.
Don't worry, don't stress yourself. We're good. We can hear you. We can see you.
Okay, fine. Okay, let's see what power we hold in our hands, at what we can do. Okay, it says in Gemara and Shabbos, "Ein mazel b'Yisrael." The Jewish people are not bound by mazel, which means that when we're born, when anyone is born, the time when they're born and where they were born, according to the constellation, according to the stars, it affects us, our star signs. But the Jewish people are above it. We're not bound by it. And there's two, and it says you can change your mazel, your destiny, by changing location, mashana makam, mashana mazel. So one way is geographically, and the other way is a spiritual change. So the Rashba gives us a parable there's a blind man standing in the horse racing. He's in the middle of the tracks, and you can see what's about to happen. The horses are charging towards him. So you've got two choices you can think of doing. One is telling the horses to move out of the way, and the other one is telling him to move out of the way. It's going to be a bit hard to tell the horses to go out of the way, so you move him. So the horses race past him and he moves. And that is the same type of thing, is that we have the ability to adjust our spiritual path. So what's happening, our destiny is going that way, but our spiritual, we have moved from that place. So things can change according to our actions and what we do. And we see this with Leah when she davened, when she was pregnant with, I forgot what number child. She knew she was having a boy and she didn't want it to be that she had more than her sister. So she davened Hashem to change it to a baby girl. I mean, this was amazing. Obviously, she knew Hashem much better, but that somebody would even ask Hashem to change the gender of their baby. For Leah, it's obvious, but Hashem can do anything. And she asked, and Hashem did change it. And there's a story in the Gemara Shabbos about Shmuel and a stargazer. And they were sitting and talking, and workers went to work that day. And the stargazer said to Shmuel, see that man? He's going to die. He won't return. And Shmuel said, but if he's Jewish, it's not going to be that. And at the end of the day, the man did return. And they checked his bag, and there was a snake in the bag, dead. Clearly, he wasn't meant to return, but something changed. And they asked him what he did. And he said he noticed that there was one man in the group who was poor and didn't have food. So this man went around to all the people saying, let's share our food today, let's taste everyone's cooking. And he pretended to get from the poor man, and they all shared, and the man had food. And that changed what was meant to happen to him. He changed his spiritual path. So we're not bound by this mazel. Now, all Hashem wants to do is bestow, is that the word? Bestow kindness upon us. That's all Hashem created us to give goodness to the world and to do kindness to us. But a lot of times we think that we don't deserve it. I was once at the Kotel, please God again soon, and I hear this parents talking to their children saying, and you can go and you can pray to God at the ward, it's a special place. What are you going to pray for? And I think the son said something like, a new TV or new PS4. And the father was like, don't be silly, you can't ask Hashem for that. And I was like, Chaval, you can ask Hashem for whatever you want. And I remember playing when I was younger, a game in a friend's house, and we were saying, please Hashem, a 6, please a 6, please Hashem. With such kavanah, such thoughtfulness, because it was so important. And the father went, don't ask Hashem for that. Don't waste your prayers. But we can ask Hashem for everything, but we think we can't, or we think that we don't deserve it. But the Jewish people, when they left Egypt, were at the lowest level. They say on the 49th level of impurity. And yet they still came out of Egypt. Hashem did wondrous miracles for them. And Rav Pinker said it was two things that took them out of Egypt. It was their belief that Hashem gave a prophecy to Moshe, and they believed it. They believed Hashem would save them. And their ratzon, their will. And what's amazing is, I was once in a class and they said, their emunah split the sea. I did not understand that. And I didn't get it. I was a bit cross. I didn't understand it. But years later, and I'm learning this book and developing what this book talks about, is when you believe in something and you believe Hashem can do something for you, Hashem does do things for us. So Nachshon, we know, he jumped into the water until it was really high up to him, and Hashem split the sea. He knew Hashem had to save them, come what may. It was a bit of a helpless situation. There was a raging sea in front of them. There was Egyptians behind them, wild animals on another side. They were stuck. But Nachshon knew that Hashem is going to save us. So he didn't think about how. He just jumped into the water, and that was the beginning of their emunah, and that helped to split the sea. And the women, Miriam and all the women, they took tambourines with them from Mitzrayim because they knew Hashem would save them. They believed that Hashem would do it. Yeah, so we think, but if it's not possible, how can it be? But Hashem can do anything. We are above nature. We're not bound by the stars. We are above it, and we can rise against it. Now, so we said it's belief in it and ratzon, which is so interesting because a lot of times we don't have the will. We think we want something, but we don't deeply, truly want it. I've been trying to lose weight for a while. And I keep saying, I really want to be thin, but then I'm eating cookies and I'm eating rubbish and I'm not exercising. So clearly my willpower, my ratzon is not actually in the place where I want it to be. So part of me says I want it, but then I'm not aligning with it. I know we say, I want to do better. I want to do what's right. Hashem, please help me get on the path of right. Then we don't set a plan in place. We don't really want something. And it's with everything in life, you want your house something fixed, but you never called the plumber. Well, it can't be fixed if you didn't call the plumber, because your will is not in the place where it's meant to be. So we actually need to assess, do I really want something? And a lot of times our deepest fears, we don't want to shift from what we do have. If we have time, we'll discuss why and what. So it says that according to how strongly our desire is and our motivation, that's how we ask for those needs. When a child wants something and they want a sweet or they want a present, and they ask and they ask and they ask and they ask, it's amazing that they're using that determination. And I say to my children, please use that when you daven to Hashem, because right now for me to know, but when you daven, just ask and ask. And sometimes we say, oh, just take it. We hope Hashem doesn't say like that to us, because Hashem knows the best plan for us, but it's determination. And let's tap into the Hanukkah story. Can you imagine if all these women on the group, we decided, you know what, we're going to go fight against, let's say today's the Hezbollah. We'll do some courses on Zoom with CST, or we'll go to the warehouse and then some Muay Thai or kickboxing, and we're going to take on Hezbollah. We would never do that in a million years, because how are we going to do that? It's not like physically possible. But the Jewish people, the Hashmonaim, realized it's nothing to do with them. It's to do with Hashem. And they did their bit, and Hashem took care of the rest. Hashem can do anything. And their will was to uphold the name of Hashem. So they went in to do it. And then there's Yehudis, who went to kill Eli Fernie. She walked into his tent with intent on killing him. A lone woman in the jungle against all the enemies. And she did it. And she, for sure, the whole way in her head was thinking, Hashem, I'm doing this in your honor. Guide me, help me succeed. Help this be the right thing. She did her bit and Hashem did the rest. So what can we do? How can we access this? We need to train our minds, because things start in our mind. Okay, so how can we do that? First, we have to know that Hashem can do anything. And it says in Moedim, if someone wants to sing it with pleasure, I love that song. It's so powerful, and it means the good one, for your compassion has never ceased. You are the compassionate one, for your kindness has never ended. For always have we placed our hope in you. Hashem can do anything, and it's about placing our hope in Hashem. There's 4 categories that the human that's broken down into the world. It's inanimate objects, plant life, animal life, and human beings. And we are the top of that list. We are the most exalted one. And it says medaber, the human being with speak. Speech has so much power that separates us from the animals. Speech is our spiritual part into us. And they did an experiment, I think, in Japan about growing plants or with water, how it would crystallize. But then there was a man in Bar-Ilan University who took this experiment, and he decided he's going to try it when planting, I think, broad beans. He put all the beans on, you actually can see a picture Zamir Cohen has in his book, The Coming Revolution. They planted 3 beans. One they said nothing, one they spoke harsh words to, and one they said Tehillim to. The one that they said nothing grew normally. The one they spoke harsh words to didn't grow. And the one they said Tehillim grew really well. These are beans. Can you imagine if we use our words for the right things and channel our thoughts? We're more than a bean, we're a human being. We have an neshama, we have a divine spark of Hashem in us. We're just innately awesome human beings. But the Yetzer Hara, the darkness in us, tries to take us away from that. And now we have power in our speech. So he tries to take us away with our speech and with our thoughts. Who's ever experienced something happening to them that they didn't enjoy, and they replay over and over and over again the scene in their head? And it makes you angrier and angrier, and you hate that person more and more, and it just escalates into something huge. Because that's when the Yetzer Hara gets us with something negative and just festers it bigger and bigger, and then we actually are suffering, not the person. So if we can change that thought pattern and just do something positive, it's going to affect us so much. Chazal say, person's thoughts have the power to change reality for the good and for the bad. We don't want it to change it for the bad. But how does this sound like? You're running late for something. There is time to make it, but you're so stressed. You're going, I'm going to be late. 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 I'm going to speak. I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. We're just sending out negative forces, negative forces, negative forces. We think it and then we say it. Or today I was driving and thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to crash. And I was like, no. And thanks to all of you, because I was doing this talk today, so it's been much more in my brain. I was like, I am there, healthy and well. We're there on time. I am healthy and well. We're doing this. We're making it. Thank God we did not crash and we're here, healthy and well. And that's also thanks to all of you for putting my mindset in the right place. Our mind, our brain goes naturally to more negative places. And the more negative we do, we create the bigger pathway in our brain, the neuroplasticity in the brain for the negative. So it's much easier for us. But if we change it, if we really want to, if we have the ruts and if we have the will, we can change our pathway by the way we think and the way we speak. So we can just take everything that we're thinking negative, because the thoughts have so much power. Chazal is saying, if you're scared of, I'm not sure Chazal, sorry, I'm not sure why I didn't write this down. If you're scared of something, it can manifest into the actual thing, and we don't want that to happen. So instead of saying, the baby's never going to sleep, imagine the baby sleeping. My mother-in-law, I hate her, I'm never going to get on with her. Then you can just think, I'm going to get on with my mother-in-law. But the problem is we think it's so far-fetched. But Hashem can do anything. And if we truly want peace in the world, which is going to bring bracha, and if we want to be calmer, changing our thoughts is so, so powerful. You can only think one thought at a time. Rabbi Sanhela was teaching us this, and I forgot, I think it's based on Orchos Tzadikim. You can only think one thought at a time. So if you have replacement thoughts already in place, then you can just switch it. And then you've taken charge of your mind. So just switch everything from a negative to a positive. There's never going to be parking for me. Thank you, Hashem, there is parking. I envision myself parking with ease. This is what happened last time. No, this time is different. Hashem is in charge. I want good. See the outcome. Keep projecting the positive coming from our brains and through our mouth. I want to share with you some amazing stories that have helped me so much. I'm going to start with ones on the parasha and also then from Rabbonim, and then we're going to get to practical stories. So I was reading in this book, It's All in Your Mind. So not everyone says this theory, but I'm going to say from this book. It says in this week's parasha that Yaakov bowed 7 times when he went to meet Esau. And then he says, and Esau ran to meet him and embraced him. And Rashi says that he kissed him with all his heart. He felt that love. And it says here that every time he was bowing, he was envisioning positive thoughts between him and Esau and the brotherhood that they shared together. And that changed their encounter together. And Esau felt that love and the light coming from him, and that affected him. So that's extremely powerful. And there's a story of Rab Aryeh Levine. He was meeting with a local Turkish ruler, and everyone knew that it was just bad news to meet with this ruler. He was not kind. And he went into the meeting and he came out all smiling. You can imagine, you see the picture of Aryeh Levine, his face just radiated light and just godliness. And he said to him, what happened? How did it go so well? So he said, the night before, he goes, I was thinking, I had so much pity on this man. He has to make, all the decisions he makes comes from his harsh personality. So I just had so much compassion. I just thought about this so much. So when I went in the next day, I went in with so much compassion and it went amazingly. All he did was think compassionate thoughts, and that changed how the person responded to him. Rav Dessler says, how do our thoughts influence each other, anyone else? So Rav Dessler says, the souls of all mankind are bound together, and the spiritual roots of their lives are dependent on one another. Our thoughts have so much power, and we are all connected because we all come from Hashem's divine light. We're all sparks of that. So really, our sparks, we're all the same. We've all got this godliness. So our thoughts have so much power that we can connect and change with people. And when the end of Shemoneh Esrei, the end of the standing up prayer, we say the Yula Ratzon at the end, and we say the Higayon Libi, and the thoughts of my heart should be pleasing before you. We're asking Hashem for our thoughts to also be pleasing, because our thoughts can be so negative. Whose thoughts sometimes say like, you're not good enough, you're rubbish, no one's going to like you, the food's going to flop, or you're not going to succeed. Why are you even trying? All that is coming straight from the dark in us, straight from the Sahara, to test us and see, do you really believe in yourself? And it's so easy to just give in to him. But if we can just change our thought process, and every time we hear that, we can say, hey, I do like myself. Even if you don't believe it, if you keep telling yourself, it's slowly going to seep into you. Or I am great. I have a divine spark of Hashem in me. I am great. Just keep changing those thoughts to the positive thoughts. It's so powerful. And imagine if your friend was having a really hard time and you go to her house and she's juggling, holding the kids, trying to put a wash on, trying to make supper, sweeping the floor, cleaner didn't come. And you say, why didn't you ask me for help? And she says, oh, I didn't want to bother you. It's such an insult. It's such an insult that you can't turn to your friend in a time of need or your family and ask them for help. Of course they want to help you. Of course Hashem wants to help us. All he wants to do is bestow good upon us. So we just need to channel our brain and our thoughts to the place of positivity and amazing stuff. So I'm going to say practical stories. I find now we've got the Torah basis behind us, which is great, and we know it. And now I'm going to put it into actual stories that from people to see how this can change. And B'ezrat Hashem, we can all take something little to change our brain path, to change our speech in a way that's positive, that has helped my home so much and thousands of other people. Okay, this is a crazy story. And then this one, I'm going to get to that in a minute, because say that one soon. Okay, my friend Miriam, who taught me this concept, she says, I wanted a new shaitel. So her father, thank God, used to work for a bank, and they paid him to retire because he was costing them too much. So he could have bought her many a shaitel. So she went to him and asked him for a shaitel. And I think he said no. And she was extremely cross. For whatever reasons, he decided to do that. And she was so cross, and she went to teach her. I think he was teaching her this concept. I'm so angry at my father. I thought Hashem could give me anything. And the teacher said, where you know it's only Hashem, that changes everything. So she started thinking, you know what? Hashem can give me a shaitel. He has many shaitels in the shaitel storage room. And she kept thinking, as she's washing the dishes, I'm standing in my stunning shaitel, and her thoughts were always on her and her shaitel. It was up to Hashem. She didn't know how she was going to get the shaitel, but she put that up to Hashem. She babysat for her friend's children overnight for a few days or something. And they came back and they gave her a nice big fat check. And she was like, my shaitel. She didn't have a clue how she was going to get a shaitel. All she did, let go of how she was going to achieve it, and sent her thoughts, channeled it to this gorgeous shaitel that she got. And it was a very nice shaitel. I've got my nephew and my children do this. It's another story. They go to this Ovasabonim, father and sons, in the evening, and there's a raffle. And my nephew, Yaakov, and my son also, Yosef, Yaakov kept winning, and my son keeps winning this raffle. My sister went to Yaakov, you keep winning. And he goes, I know, I asked Hashem. I asked Hashem, of course I'm going to win. My son does the same thing. He concentrates on the bracha shahako. Hashem can do anything with kavanah in the zuchus that he's going to win. And he keeps winning all these raffles. So tell your kids the trick. Don't tell them it came from me. My son won't be too impressed with me. The children did just realize it's not me, it's Hashem. And there's a story of Shimshon Pinkas, if I remember correctly. It was Shavuos night, and he wanted to go to shul with his father. And his father was like, I think you're too young, and I don't need you running around. And it's just, you know what, next year, but this year is not a good time. So he left his son very sad at home. And as I was walking, he's thinking, no, it's like it's Shavuos, I should go back, but it's so late. He's having a whole dilemma. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to go back and get him. Goes back to the house. Little Shimshon standing there with his coat on, ready. And his father goes, why are you in your coat? He goes, oh, I knew you were coming back because I asked Hashem. But children, it's so obvious then that of course it's Hashem. Now when we get older, I think when we see the cause and effect that we have on our input, that we forget that actually who's running it is Hashem. So when we just remember it's nothing to do with me, it's to do with Hashem. We were once in my sister's house in Edgware, and the children wanted to see fireworks, but there was only a small window for them to see from. And then it wasn't like a massive round circular area. And they're like, Hashem, thank you, we're going to see fireworks. Thank you, Hashem, we're going to see fireworks. Literally in front of the window, suddenly this huge firework display came about. And they were like, Yay, thank you, Hashem. They realize to use their words and to ask for it. So we can just keep saying and realizing we can ask Hashem. Now I have a crazy story with a shaitel that I bought not long ago. I don't know why I went to buy the shaitel from this woman, because I don't normally. I went to buy a shaitel, and after a bit, I was like, it's a bit dry. I'm not so happy. So I plucked up my courage, which I don't like doing. Not plucking up my courage, but going back and saying to her, I'm really not happy. I think it's a bit dry. Please, can you fix it? Okay, I was proud of myself. I stuck up for myself, and I went back to pick it up, and it was all done, and they were charging me. And I said, I didn't ask you to do my shaitel. I asked you to fix it. She wasn't too impressed. I wasn't too impressed. And I went home and I was furious. I was just so annoyed at her. Well, I had to do a work on that the spiritual healer taught me, which was I had to identify why was it annoying me so much? What was my mirror? And I actually realized she stuck up for herself really well. I'm not good at that. So it really annoyed me that she was sticking up for herself. So I had to work with that. Side point. Okay, got over that bit. Then I was still, every time I put my shaitel on, I was just so annoyed. And my husband was just getting fed up of hearing moan about my shaitel. And in my head, I was like, and it's not fair. And she gave me the shaitel, and it's a rabbi shaitel. And the Torah had a heyday in my head. I gave him free rent for a while. And I was getting really annoyed with her, and I didn't like it. And one day I was like, enough. And I just kept saying, I love my shaitel. I love my shaitel. I love my shaitel. I did not love it. But I kept saying, I love it. I love it. I love it. One day I got dressed, brushed my shaitel, and I went, I love my shaitel. I went, oh! I actually said the words, I love my shaitel, and I meant it. And I was so shocked. Like, I don't know why I was so shocked, because I knew what I was doing. But yeah, I said, I love my shaitel. And then my husband goes, you didn't know what I was doing. And then he goes to me, wow, that shaitel is just so you. And I was like, pardon? And then my friend who's a shaitel macher goes to me the other day, your shaitel looks amazing on you. And I was like, huh? And then I went to pick up a school. My friend goes, your shaitel's so glamorous. And I was like, what? Suddenly I changed. This is towards a shaitel. Can you imagine a human being? I just changed my thoughts about a piece of hair from someone's head that I'm wearing that doesn't have feelings or anything, doesn't have a neshama or anything into it. And I changed my perspective. And I love my shaitel, and I still love my shaitel. And it blows my mind that I just changed my words. And then I was hearing a story with Rabbi Farhi. It's amazing. When I was preparing how Hashem sent Siyata Shmaya, heard a share, a story that fit into this, reading the Amunah book, a story that fit into this, everything just was fitting in. Rabbi Farhi says as a story, he doesn't remember who the rabbi was, but apparently there was a Jewish man who turned against the Jews and was reporting them to the authorities. And it wasn't like getting a ticket, it was like death or sent to Siberia or something. So people came to the rabbi and said, can you daven for him to die, please? Because give me 3 days. They came back after 3 days and they said, what did you do? He's changed, he's dropped everything. So the rabbi said, I just concentrated in my head on the mitzvah of loving someone else. He has a divine spark in him. And I focused on that light in his thoughts. And within 3 days, this man has shifted and dropped everything. The power of thoughts is just, it's unbelievable. My husband has a friend who wanted a new BMW and he could not afford it. It was completely out of his range, but he heard of the power, it's all in your mind. So he imagined himself the exact BMW that he was driving and driving around and waving to people and parking. And he really took it into his brain. Just like the negative can replay so much in our brain, just switch it to the positive replaying. And you're going to notice it's harder to keep that positive thoughts going because the Yetzer Hara is going to try and remove you from it. That's when you know you've got power, when you're doing the right thing, when the Yetzer Hara tries to take you away. Anyway, his work said to him, you know, you'd be doing amazing. We want to thank you. We're giving you a parking spot in Marylebone. Apparently that's very important and prestigious. So he worked out the money and we came to him and he goes, well, actually, for the same price, can you please lease me this BMW? And he rocks up to our house in this spanking new BMW. And my husband knew he didn't have the money for it. And my husband, I looked at him and he goes, you got to hear I got this BMW. And this is a car. And he just used the power of his thoughts, knowing Hashem can do anything. And this is just for a BMW. There's another story of a woman who, unfortunately, this should never happen to anyone and never does happen, but in theory, she got annoyed with her husband and she was really cross. And he left cross that day, and she was feeling all embarrassed and annoyed, and she was just feeling horrible. And of course that festers, and you think, oh my gosh, what do I do? And then afterwards she's like, you know what? I'm stopping those thoughts. And she goes, I'm going to forgive him from a place of a goodness. And she imagined her and her husband just moving on and living in harmony together. And she goes, her husband came home that day, happy, in a good mood, and asked her to forgive him. All she did was sit in her house. She used her emunah. She knew Hashem could do anything. Shifted her energy, shifted her mindset. And her husband picked up on that, and it shifted. It's just so powerful. How many times are we saying, it can never happen, I'm going to be late, it can't be, I hate them, it's never going to change. We're so stuck in the story of our negativity that we're also sometimes scared to change to a positive story because we don't know that story. But if you talk yourself into it, amazing, do that. We talk ourselves into anything. I had got makeup from one of the shops, and when I took it back, I didn't want it. And the man there working there opened it, goes, oh, well, you've used it, I can't return it. And I was like, I didn't use it. He's like, well, I can't return it. It looks like you used it. And I was so annoyed. I was like, I'm going to waste out on this makeup. Then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back again when he's not there, and I'm going to return it. So I kept thinking on positive thinking. Thank you, Hashem. They're just going to get back with no questions. I hadn't opened it. I don't know why it was funny, but I was like, they're going to just take it back. Thank you, Hashem. And I just kept on thinking every time the negative thought came, oh, it's never going to happen. Because according to nature, it shouldn't have happened because it looked like it'd been open. It was like Hashem could do anything. And I just kept thinking, they're going to return it. They're going to take it back. They're going to take it back. And I go into the shop and a different woman's there, and I take it, and she doesn't even look at it, and she returns it straight away. And I walk out and I was so happy. And I went, oh, what a waste of all those thoughts. They took it back anyway. And then I was like, are you for real? Are you for real? Like, that was Hashem. You just did your bit and Hashem did the rest. Like, that's when my Guyver kicked in. I was like, oh, you didn't need to do that. Just the thoughts are so powerful. I had a friend who was in labor, and her whole labor, her thoughts are completely focused that Hashem is carrying her and Hashem can do anything. She's in Hashem's hands. And she's envisioning that it's going quickly. She's envisioning the pressure, envisioning the pushing quickly, and then telling all her friends how fast it went. And then after a while, because she was induced, so she was having very short contractions, but very close together. So she was really tired and finished. The midwife came and said to her, well, you're only 2 centimeters. So in her haze, she thought, 2 centimeters? She goes, hey, I am Hashem's daughter. I am above nature. Just because she's telling me I'm 2 centimeters doesn't mean anything. I am not letting the Yitzhak take that. I'm focusing, and this is going quick. And she channeled all her thoughts only, and all her energy. And she had the baby within half an hour. She's like, I am above nature. I am not sticking to that. And how many times are we hearing stories where the doctors gave up, but we just haven't? We don't say, you know what, doctors gave up. All right, goodbye, we'll sign you off. No, Hashem can do anything. He's the Rofech Basa, he's the healer. And we just keep asking and asking. We don't know Hashem's plan. Sometimes Hashem says no, but we hope that what we're asking for is for our best, and Hashem decides what the outcome will be. But all we can do is do our best. But we get stuck in it. It can't happen. It just can't happen. But I'm telling you, I've seen in my home, and I've seen with other people and my friends, the more you channel your thoughts to a positive place, things change around you and you shift the energy inside of you. I had a client who was coming to do, we did spiritual healing and the emotional healing, and she just changed the way she thought about herself. She accepted herself, and normally her mindset was of rejection. She wasn't worthy. So that day, after she finished the session, she did all the work. People suddenly in the street started coming up to her and saying hello, which normally they wouldn't. She just took an hour out to change her mindset. I am worthy. She sent the vibes to people, and they all picked up on it. I don't know, it still blows me away that just from our thought process and accepting and our speech, we can change things. So anytime you want to say something negative, just with Hashem's help, ask Hashem to help us to do this, to just switch it to positive. Last night I had to go down to get the baby something. And I was like, he's just going to cry. That's what it is. And then I went, no, what have I been preparing? It's not just going to be that. Hashem can make him quiet. He's eaten, he's clean. it can happen. I was like, thank you, Hashem, the baby will be quiet. Thank you, Hashem, things will get done. You walk into your room, your house, and it's the biggest tip, and you're just like, I just can't face it. It's never going to get done. Hashem, thank you. I'm going to have the energy to do it this room. I don't want to do it, but thank you, Hashem. I'm going to do this room. And we get new energy. It just comes. Go with it. Go with the flow. And you're going to see the power that we have in us just from changing our thought process and from changing our words. So there's a story of a woman who, her and her mother-in-law, they got a bit angry at each other, and they weren't speaking. And then her daughter got roped into it, and she was just so upset that why should the next generation be roped into this? So she's like, you know what? I'm just going to think positive things. And she envisioned her mother-in-law being friendly with her daughter and with her grandchildren, and she just sent out positive vibes. Even if she didn't believe it, she just kept thinking positive things. And her daughter calls her up and says, you know what? Grandma called me up to take me out today. She's not done that in ages. No one coerced anyone. No one said anyone to do something. Just her thoughts shifted. It's amazing. Another story. Can we have time for another story? Okay, I think that to me, the stories speak more and then different stories can speak to different things. Like, oh yeah, I can do that. There was a teacher mother, what's it called? PTA meeting in school. And there was a really difficult mother, and she was known to be difficult. And she came to one of the teachers and started screaming at her and accusing her of different things. And the teacher was obviously taken aback. And then she's like, okay, I'm sorry, this meeting has finished. And she left. And she went home and she was so angry and she was focusing on this anger. And then she stopped and she went, hey, I'm not when we're angry at someone else, they have power over us. She's like, no, I'm not doing this. So she kept thinking, I don't know how it's going to work. It's not even possible. But she envisioned the woman cooperating with her and apologizing. She was saying, Hashem, she will cooperate with me. She will apologize to me. Thank you, Hashem. And she kept saying it and saying it and saying it. However much effort you put into the negative, she was putting into the positive. And this one was not known to ever apologize or cooperate with anyone. The next day she comes to school. The woman is standing there by the entrance to school and talks to her and apologizes to her and says how she wants to cooperate to help what's going on. This is a woman who everyone had put into the box of negativity. And all she did was, again, send out those positive thoughts and those positive vibes, and it shifted the situation. It blows our mind the whole time. So we can take this and really, really incorporate it. It's so small. It's just a thought. It's just speech. Instead of saying, my kid is so annoying. Thank you, Hashem, for my kid. Or I love my kid. Or he doesn't believe in himself. I believe in my child. I believe in my child. However much you want to say the negative, shift it to the positive and see the good in it. We have boxes that we fit lots of people in. We fit ourselves in. We fit our food in. It's not with the positive. And that, again, is our Yetzer Hara working with us. So let's, again, whatever is negative, switch it to something positive and say it over and over and over again. Think it again and again and again. I once was going through a while back a really hard time emotionally. I was like, Hashem, can you fill my heart? That didn't happen. And then I was like, okay, Hashem can't fill my heart. I have to do my bit. So I said, Hashem, can you please send me someone to fill my heart? And I had a chavrusa with Aish, and she goes, oh, I can help you. I'm a life coach. So she told me for every day to say 3 good things about myself. I was like, I'm not doing that. I was like, all right, I'll try at home. So I was going, I'm a good mother. I'm a good mother. I'm a good mother. I didn't think I was a good mother. I was like, I'm a good mother. And that week, I was a good mother. I didn't believe it, but I kept saying it until my body heard it. And something shifted within me. And words had the power to shift. And it worked. It's amazing. So my gift to you is that I've learned from my friend and from the book and from the Torah sources is that our thoughts, as much as we can, should be positive. However negative we want them to be, to switch it, because we have the power. We have this divine light in us that our soul is unbelievable. It's from Hashem. Like, we can achieve anything with Hashem's help. Don't focus on how am I going to do it. Let's just say, I'm going to do my bit and the rest is up to Hashem. And see what happens. Just see all the positivity that flows through your brain. I just thought another thing. There was a client who was having a really rough time, and there was a prison sentence hanging over them. And that day I just thought of them, and I just sent them positive thoughts. That night we were eating supper, and my phone rings, and it was the client calling to tell me the sentence had been dropped. I just thought of him, why he would call me to tell me that. It wasn't in a session, it's private. And he said he picks up the phone to call me. And as it rings, I said to my husband, oh my gosh, I sent him light today. I sent him good thoughts. And he rang. When people say, oh, I've been thinking of you, or they call you and you're like, oh, I was thinking of you, because our thoughts are all connected together. We have such power on the world. And the more positivity we send out into the world, it affects the world in a positive way. Hashem gave us the power. With our good deeds, we affect the world. With our mitzvot, we bring more light to the world. When we bench, we bring bracha to the produce. We have so much power and emunah, which this is, because knowing Hashem can do anything, it's not in my hands and I have the will to do it. Emunah is the basis of everything of the world to flourish. And this is really taking emunah and putting it into a practical step of just keep thinking positive, keep speaking positive. And Hashem should bless us all that we will believe what we say. And we've got to see the changes in our life and be happier people. Instead of saying I'm depressed, say, no, I'm happy. I'm overweight. No, I'm thin. See, I don't really want it enough. My clothes still fit me. I went through a time when I thought this dryer was shrinking all my clothes. And then I realized that it wasn't dryer. I still don't have enough willpower to stop eating all the food that I eat. So again, I don't have the rut zone. We wanted to be better. Do I really want to be better? I want my children to succeed. Do I really? Am I putting them into negative box so much? Am I complaining about my neighbors always? Am I looking at them through a positive light? And if you don't believe it, just go for it and see what happens. And if anyone wants to share with us stories where they changed their thoughts or changed their speech or thanked Hashem in advance, I'd love to hear, because I feel when we speak together and bounce off each other.
Can I ask a question?
I can't see, but yeah, let me try to find you.
No. My question is, and I don't mean to bring your share down.
That's okay.
Hashem doesn't always say yes. So you can daven and daven and daven, but Hashem says no.
Yes, so we do our bit and Hashem does the rest. I can only put my input in. Hashem knows what's right for us. The outcome we don't know. We definitely have more power in our thoughts and our actions for the little things in our life. But yeah, all I can know is we've done our bit and the rest is up to Hashem. But we can still do our bit and that's it. Moshe Rabbeinu did his bit so much. He davened to get into Eretz Yisrael, and Hashem said no. He said you have to stop. Hashem, once you focus that everything's from Hashem, then you can take it much easier than if we all think it's us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
But we have the power though to change what we can, our thoughts and how we think about ourselves and others.
Is it sometimes just that it's also the thing that how we deal with either the yes or the no, when we actually understand that that is actually coming from Hashem?
Right. Yeah. And it's really hard sometimes when it's a no, and you'd be like, it's really difficult. And that's a part of another test of stuff that we have. What is the name of the Sefer? It's All in Your Mind by Sarah Yosef, Rabbi Vadia's daughter-in-law. And I've got a funny story. We learned about this concept when we were living in Israel. And then we wanted to stay in Israel. We were like, we'll eat bread and butter, we'll stay, hopefully they'll sell the flat. We didn't have any money to buy the flat, like Hashem can do anything. So we kept positive thinking that they're going to sell the flat. They were never selling it before. And then the landlord comes to us and goes, I'm going to sell. Do you want to buy? We were like, yay! We were like, okay, now what? Okay, positive thinking. We're going to have the money to buy this flat. And then we find out that we thought it was her daughter who bought the flat. And we were laughing so hard. We were like, her positive thinking overrode ours and she is more powerful in this area. It wasn't meant to be. We were meant to come to England, but her niece, they bought the flat. But suddenly out of nowhere, they said they're going to sell the flat. And it was amazing. And we weren't meant to be there, but it was funny how we thought, she's chief in this. She knows what she's doing. It's amazing. I highly recommend this book. It is amazing. It's very powerful. Can anyone share with us? Can we not be so English and share?
A shir I went to some years ago. I can't remember how long ago it was, and I wish I could remember who the rabbi was, but I can't. Before the shir started, there was a lady speaking to him in the corner of the room, very distressed about something, very upset. And he was talking to her for a while, and he calmed her down. When he came to start the shir, and he said to us, he sort of stood there looking at us all, and he said, we must always thank Hashem every day for all the things he's given us. So we'll sit there smiling and nodding your head like you do. And then he paused, and then he said, He's always thanking Hashem every day for all the things that he hasn't given us. And you know something that came back to me. My husband has dementia and Parkinson's. Since he got quite bad, I had to let him go into the home because I couldn't deal with it anymore. And this year came back to me, and I thought, you know something? Yeah, he is difficult to deal with, and he is very hard to feed with food because he won't open his mouth. But you know something? He's still got his sense of humour. He still tells me how much he loves me. We still have competitions saying who loves each one of them. Which one of us loves the other one more than the other one does us. And you know something? I can cope with that. I don't think I could have coped with it without that share that coming back to me from all those years ago.
Wow.
And it's just given me the strength to deal with it.
Amazing.
Wow. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. That was so personal and so powerful. Wow.
You have
Thank
an amazing effect on me, so I hope it will help other people as well.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share?
Actually, it doesn't live up to what she just said, but just this morning, actually, there's something that I really want to buy, something that is like an investment and something that's really big to me. And I was thinking last night, like, I can't afford this, like, it's really expensive. And I was like, you know what, like, I'm not going to buy it now. I've got time, I'll think about it. And this morning, I like said, like, in Shema Kolinu, I said, like, you hear it from Parnasa, and I said, like, I had like, you know, I really want to buy this thing and it's very important to me. And 9 o'clock this morning, we had like a company meeting. I've just got like a huge pay rise, all of us, and it's crazy. It's like this morning. It really works.
Wow.
Fantastic, Mary. We're looking forward.
It's
We're
like a
watching
cost of
the
living
space.
pay rise, but like I live at home, so I don't have that, so I get to use it. And
That's
important
amazing.
to me.
It's amazing because you thought from your own place you couldn't buy it, but you're like, you know what? I'm going to ask Hashem because Hashem's got everything. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Miri.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I think we're done.
Okay. Whoa. Well,
Thank
I
you
think
very much.
that was beautiful. Thank you. We're going to be Mafresh Chala with the Hafrasha. We're going to daven and we're going to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we all know HaKol Yachol, that everything that Hashem can do, absolutely anything and everything, we have to really be the ones that have to put our emunah in, and we have to believe it. And I was actually thinking, Ruty, while you were speaking, sometimes it's easier for us to say, you know, I was just thinking of the person and they called, or I was just thinking of you and whatever, and somebody has it. And it's easier for us when we haven't put in the effort, when we haven't put in the hishtadlus, when it just happens. Because sometimes when we've put in too much hishtadlus, answer is no, we don't like that. And if the answer is yes, then it's great. But when it just happens, we can recognize it. I had a day this week with Rabbi and Rebbetzin Gottlieb that was funny. From their tickets being the wrong names to being at coming back to the house, to going back to reminding ourselves to, you know, to not booking a cab, for the cab coming, to make breakfast, lunch, supper, and whatever, to Samantha Moses being in my house and giving me 2 numbers, a number that I needed, and then sending me a message just in case you need this travel agent. They booked the ticket, and you just stand and, you know, Hashem, it's all going to work, and somehow it works. So we should all just merit to be able to focus on the positive in everybody around us, everybody further from us, and to just really ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, enough's enough, to help us bring Mashiach, and let's just all live in a place, Be'ezras Hashem, that's going to bring a lot more simcha. And if we project that enough, Be'ezras Hashem. So when I saw those letters today on the wall, I said, you know what? Hashem is with us. He's just saying, I'm giving you a hug. I'm giving you a hug. I'm telling you, I'm here. Recognize I'm here. And now just keep going. Don't ever stop and don't give up. And our beautiful Lily Ebbett this week had the merit of meeting with King Charles had the merit of meeting with wonderful Safta Lily. And You know, when we see these things and we understand where the honors are really coming to, the world is changing, and it really is the opposite of what we think it's going to be. So, put my colors together, and thank you.
Can I just say something on that?
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being with us, and thank you everybody from all over the world. We have Eretz Israel, we have Gibraltar, we have Berlin, we have London, we have Manchester. If I'm not mistaken, we actually have, is it Mexico? Yeah, I can't remember. All my things that I'm coming up with, and let's go. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, melech haolam, asher kiddushanu, b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu, להפריש חלה מן העיסה, הרי זו חלה. And the zechus of the mitzvah of Afrashas Challah, we should all be zoiche to be making our challahs next Erev Shabbos for the Kohanim, serving in the Beis HaMikdash. And if not, we'll keep on practicing until they get to perfect, that our Kohanim want to be eating them, and that we are going to be together back in Eretz Yisrael. And Sharon, you're looking much better this evening than this morning, so just continue to get stronger and stronger. And in Yetz Hashem, we should have just all good things, refers for Shemeria bat Yael, for Henya bat Bracha Dvorah Leah, Aliyah Nashama for Nachum ben Yisrael, Avram ben Shmuel HaKohen, and only simchas by all, and we should be'ezras Hashem share them all. And thank you for all being with us, and thank you for sharing us, Rebbe and David.
Thank you. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
Joanne,
Thank you.
I said to one of the boys this morning, I look like Dracula, and he said, I don't know who that is. I thought, that's a from boy. I don't know who that is, he said. I had no idea what I was talking about.
Well, Sharon, if he ever meets Dracula, he'll say, now that doesn't look like Sharon.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Okay, good Shabbos, good Yom Tov. Thank you, everybody. Good Yom Tov, good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom. We're waiting for the light of our Hanukkah, which is really coming soon.
Is Yom Tov, did you just say?
No, I did. I said good Shabbos and Shabbat Shalom, but I said good Yom Tov in between. So Mirza Hashem, we've got to focus
Amen.
on the long Shabbos, on the long Shabbos of Yom Tov and greeting Mashiach.
It just reminds you, Rebbe and Weinberg.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Tells the girls to buy an outfit for Mashiach. If you really want Mashiach to come, you're going to have an outfit in the cupboard.
That's
It's
right.
so
Our
powerful.
Shabbos dress is beautiful. The Chofetz Chaim had his suitcase packed,
Yes.
and his Shabbos clothes ready. Maybe if we all do that, you know, but we've got to really believe it. It's one thing doing it and saying, you know, I've got this, but the other thing is when we really believe it, you know, and we say, this is what I've got ready waiting.
Yeah, our Ratzon, Bezrat Hashem.
Yes, Hashem.
Thank you.
Great. Beautiful.
Shabbat
Thank
shalom.
you, everybody. Good
Bye.
Shabbos, Shabbat
Bye, Sharon.
shalom.
See you then.
Thanks,
Samantha.
Ruty.
Hello. Hello, Rachel.
Samantha, thank you for your help this week.
Thank you for your help, always.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good
Bye.
night.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.